Thanks for joining me again as we continue our journey into understanding ourselves so we can understand others. In our last session, we talked about that emotions are biblical. God experiences emotions. He does so, though, in a perfect way because he is perfect, being God. But that he created us in his image, and that part of that image is our emotions. But that in Genesis, we can see that before and after the fall is very different. Before the fall, we were in perfect unity. Adam and Eve were in perfect unity. God was in perfect unity with them. But then after the fall, there's a separation. And the first recorded emotion from a person is that Adam was afraid. And he was afraid because he was naked and he hid from God. And so we can see that throughout Scripture of God calling his people back and trying to help them process who they are independent of this sinful nature. It's just really hard. So what we want to do is start to unpack your emotions and why you feel certain things and how you feel these things. And we're going to use a framework called emotional intelligence, also sometimes called EQ. Now the basis of emotional intelligence is that you can grow in your knowledge and understanding. And actually, it's not a Christian concept. They approach it just from what we call secular, from the worldly standpoint. But when we put the biblical with it, the spiritual with it, you can absolutely see how many of these strategies can be used in a very healthy spiritual way to help you also grow in who you are in Christ. Therefore, you can then start to see a spiritual growth as well. Now, there are 4 quadrants in emotional intelligence. Again, EQ. The first is being self-aware or self-awareness. And this is first just processing on yourself. Like, who am I? What am I? Why do I do the things that I do? And understanding this in a healthier way. Second is then this idea of self-management. And what do I do with what I've learned? How do I start to control these? Now, both of these have strategies. Okay, each one has strategies. But we're also going to look at how we can go to God with it and how he can lead us in these strategies as we grow. And then after we're done kind of looking at ourselves, we're going to start moving outward. So our social awareness and how do we respond in social situations and groups and parties or small group, whatever it might be, that we then can learn some things to help us with relationship management and relating to people in a healthier way. Now, you'll see that this is a circle because the more we understand each one of these, we come back to self-awareness and we continue to move up. So it's not like you have to be completely self-aware before you can move on. You'll see that you're going to continue to understand more and change more, but it's a constant process. And when we base it on God and who God wants us to be and how we can grow, we start to see the difference in our life and how we can approach God in a completely different way. So first, let's take a look at what self-awareness is. Now, there are several books that have been written about self-awareness or about emotional intelligence. The first was Emotional Intelligence by Dr. Goldman. The second, though, is by a guy named Travis Bradberry, who wrote Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And has a lot of strategies in it. But I want to go with his definition for a moment of self-awareness. Self-awareness is your ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment and understand your tendencies across situations. Self-awareness includes staying on top of your typical reactions to specific events, challenges, and people. It's a keen understanding of your tendencies. This is important. It helps you to quickly make sense of your emotions. Now, right there, just understanding this is key. Okay, that helping you make a quick decision, because you're in a situation, you're going to make a quick decision. But as you understand the what, why, and how you're feeling of these things, you begin to process it differently. But then also from a biblical perspective, perceiving your emotions is key to understanding where you are spiritually. I want to say that again. From a biblical perspective, perceiving your emotions is a key to understanding where you are spiritually. Galatians 5 lays this out very, very well for us. In Galatians 5, it talks about the acts of the flesh versus the fruit of the Spirit. And now the acts of the flesh are what we do. And this is just a portion from verses 20 and 21, that part of the acts of the flesh are hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy. When we're envious, when we're have this selfish ambition, and I feel like I want to be in charge, I want to have my way, right? So that I can look better. These emotions that go into these things really influence who we are and help us understand where we are spiritually. Now, the juxtaposition here, the opposite, is fruit of the Spirit. And this is the Spirit's fruit, not us, right? But it's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, I don't get these things on my own. Now, there's a level of humanistic I could probably try, but to receive the gift, the fruit of the Spirit, is to be able to have these things because God is perfect, and we can be in any situation and start to experience love, joy, peace, patience, or forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And when we start experiencing these things, our emotions start to process differently. Now we see this very specifically in the Sermon on the Mount. Okay, so here's Jesus talking. This is Matthew 7, 3 through 5. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of the speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite! First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see enough to deal with the speck in a friend's eye. Again, that's Matthew 7, 3 through 5. And this is what Jesus is saying. He's talking about saying, we want to look at everybody else. Like, oh man, look at the way they're handling that thing. I can't believe the way they responded to that, or whatever it might be. But that's the speck. The blank is ourselves. We start to see people in a different light when we become self-aware. Now, there's this chart that's on the screen here, and this is from a book called Emotionally Healthy Discipleship by a guy named Peter Scazzaro. And this is a beautiful understanding of a before and after, right? So the after is from brokenness in Genesis 3, that there's this list. And we see it on the left-hand side. But then as we become Christians, we should start to see ourselves differently. Our identity is no longer what we were. We're no longer enslaved to sin, but now we have the Spirit in our lives. And so this wholeness goes back to Genesis 1 and 2. Doesn't mean that we're perfect, but that we should start to see these attributes playing out in our lives. So we see the first is from defensiveness to approachable. Right? So I go from really a defensive person to being an approachable person. Low self-esteem to high self-awareness. Isolated to connected. Quick to blame, quick to take responsibility. Reactive, non-reactive. Fearful, courageous. Self-absorbed, self-giving. Addicted, free. Dishonest to honest. Now we see this as a whole, but we see this in our self-awareness. Because people will say if you have a problem, right? The first step to admitting or that solving a problem is to admit you have a problem, right? That's the first step in 12 steps, because you've got to be able to be self-aware enough to know something's not right, and the only way to fix it is through God working through me. And that's my prayer for you as you look at this. So what I want you to do is begin to think about how emotional sin has infected your individual growth. So your prayer life, your understanding and reading of Scripture, or willingness even to read Scripture. Then your individual spiritual life. How is your life conforming to that of Scripture? But then also take it from a group dynamic, right? If you're in a small group, how prepared do you come to that group? It's like, oh, well, nobody else is either. Or is it, I want to honor God in my small group time? Participation in the group. Now, we all participate differently, and that's up to the group leader to understand the relational dynamics. But are you willing to participate? Are you willing to open yourself up? Or are you scared, fearful about what people might think? Do you have like a low self-esteem that maybe your answer isn't the best one? I want to encourage you to trust in the Spirit as you move more and more in Christ's likeness. And then finally, one-on-one relationships. First, do you have any? Now, that may seem odd. You're like, sure I do, but I mean relationships, not just the cliche off the top or, yeah, my spouse or my kids. No, I'm talking about people in your life that can build into you and that you can build into. So here's what your next step is before you watch the next session. Take some time to really look at that graphic and the areas that sin may have infected your growth, and do the following in prayer. First, thank God that you're no longer broken and enslaved to sin. Thank Him for it. Ask His Spirit to lead and convict you as you move forward. Pray through each topic from the brokenness chart and then its opposite, the wholeness side. And ask God to reveal any areas to you that you're unaware of, and seek specific examples. Think of, if you think you're healthy in this area, think of a specific example that you were. If you're seeking to understand yourself, look at also where you may not have been healthy and how the other person was impacted. And finally, confess any sin issues that you are now aware of and ask God to continue to reveal these areas to you, thanking Him that you're not held responsible because of the blood of Christ. But you might need to make some reconciliation. So that's your next step before, again, you watch the next session. But I'm really glad you're a part of this. Hopefully this session will help you understand a little bit better of what self-awareness is and why it's important in helping you grow. Thanks.